Franklin County Board of County Commissioners is now in session for this regular meeting. We have a lot to do, so let's get to it. Let's stand and do the prayer and the pledge today. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your hand upon us. Thank you for this day you've given unto us. Help us, Lord, in everything we deliberate upon and think upon today. Lord, not just doing what's right in our own eyes, God, but what's right for the future of the residents and the visitors to this county. Father, we thank you for the opportunity and the privilege today that is ours. Be with us in wisdom and strength. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Up first this morning will be approval of minutes from the regular meeting 9/21, budget hearing on 9/21, and the special meeting that ended the year on 9/30.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Payment of county bills.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Parrish.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion?
Yeah, what that Florida Association of County?
FAC, is that our regular dues?
FCCC, yes.
That's probably our dues. I don't know the amount.
Florida Association of Counties.
FAC.
Yeah,
FAC.
I know, but it's I might have been looking at it wrong. It's 100-some thousand now.
No.
FAC.
Let's see.
It's Florida Association of Counties, $137,198. I can get clarification. I haven't seen the invoice myself personally, but I can get clarification on exactly what it is. And
Yeah, I'll have to check and see what it was for, to be honest with you, Commissioner.
I know them dudes shouldn't be there.
No, that's not dues. I thought it was a less amount than that. No, those are dues who are in trouble, so yeah.
Okay.
So you want to approve it without that one, Commissioner? And then we figure out what it is?
Yeah, let's approve it and approve the rest of them and get the straightening on that.
Okay, I'm gonna find out right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Need to amend the motion.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do we need to amend the motion?
I would think so.
Yeah,
We need to
I wanna
amend the
amend.
motion to reflect that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Amend the motion.
All right. Motion has been amended.
I'll second.
I
No,
thought I was
second.
looking at it wrong. I said 100.
Oh, okay. It's actually our first installment of our insurance.
Oh, that's an
Oh.
insurance.
Yeah,
So
so
that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, that's gonna
For
be
the city.
property, workers' comp, and auto.
Yes.
Yeah, for the, yes,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, guys.
I think we're back to the original
Okay,
motion.
so-
Mr.
I'm just sitting
Chairman.
here like,
Back to the original motion.
I guess so. Boy, this is gonna be a heck of a day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We're starting off in the right foot here today.
Here we go. All right, so we're back with the original motion. Is everybody clear on that?
yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. Good, I'm glad to get past it. So, sir, I do see, we're now into public comments. I
Yes.
do see that Mr. Bruce is here in the room, so I'd like for him to go ahead and go first.
And while you're there with Bruce, what's the lady that's,
Miss Debbie Jordan?
Miss Debbie Jordan, if you're on the line, would you, there's one phone number I see here. If that's you, would you hit the *9 so it raise your hand, and I'll let you know when to unmute while Mr. Bruce is here talking.
Come on, Mr. Bruce.
That is her. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
To break a trend, I'm not going to start with the airport.
Okay.
The issue I wanted to bring up, and I know I've talked to Mr. Marone, they're going to address, is the red tide issue that has been plaguing, from my perspective, St. George Island, but I also have reports all the way from Carabel. It started, I noticed it a week ago Saturday, and I've been trying to find out what the situation was. I went to the FWC. I gave them a report that I had. My wife and I both had to go to Weems on Monday because the symptoms are almost exactly COVID. And the issue is that if someone isn't aware of the red tide, they may assume it's COVID and go get checked, which we did, and it came back negative. Now, that's a good incentive to go get tested, but my biggest concern is that someone who has had COVID and may have his immune system diminished could be susceptible to greater issues from the red tide. So it's imperative that we get the word out when it happens. I didn't see anything published, no advertisements, and all the wonderful tourists out there frolicking with all the dead fish. It's something they need to be aware of, because we don't want them to go away sick from our beaches, because they won't come back. So I just wanted to bring that issue up. I forwarded my correspondence with FWC to Mr. Marone. I sent them pictures, and Mr. Marone has them as well. So anything we could do to get the word out, whether it's through the radio station, whether it's through the newspaper and their website, the minute we find out, and if we have local testing ability, it may take the FWC a long time to get here, because they're all wrapped up with Tampa and Destin and Fort Walton Beach, but not here. So whatever we can do to bring the attention to that and have a way to respond quickly. The symptoms lasted about a week and a half. We had 2 to 3 weeks of no rain, and the wind coming off the water to shore. That exacerbated the situation. The rain has helped a lot, but even my dog, I had to end up carrying, he's a 110-pound lab, and I had to carry him home from the beach 2.5 blocks. My back is not going to recover, but he's okay now, and my wife's recovered as well. So that's the only issues I wanted to address. And I know Mr. Marone said there's going to be some comments from the health department. Now we'll get to the airport. One of the things that I'm the Aerospace Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association Airport Support Network rep for Carabel and Apalachicola. I've contacted them with help regarding support for y'all in your search for airport manager. They're willing to help, and I offer that as an opportunity. They have excellent contact around the country with the FAA as well. So if I can be in any service and AOPA can help in any way, I'd be more than happy to work with Mr. Marone to help you all with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce.
That's it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
You know,
Yes.
on that red tag, they put it on that Florida thing.
Of course, I got it on my iPad, but they were telling us about the red tide in Franklin.
Mhm.
We just haven't put in the local paper. But it's published.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the thing that's hindered it the most, Commissioner Lockley, is the county doesn't really have an information officer.
Right.
So, I mean, who are we going to get to publish it? Number one, we need to make sure, before we start publishing anything, that's factual.
Right.
I mean, I understand there were dead fish, I understand that, but we're waiting on FWC to give us the report, because the waters are under their jurisdiction and domain, so it's kind of made it difficult, and to kind of speak to what Mr. Bruce said, we really don't have a local way to test, because we don't have anybody here that's qualified to do that. I mean, we just
But
don't. We rely on FWC.
They said on one of these, on one of these iPads that,
Email sent? Yes, sir.
yeah, they said on the email that they got some test kits, and that we could get some
Sounds good?
for, if we want them. So I'm gonna make a motion, Michael, you get in contact. If you check this email, if one of them said they got some test kits that we can,
Well, I was going to tell you, Commissioner
know who
Lockley,
gonna do
so
it.
after we finish with public comments, I have Sarah from the Health Department on the line, and she's going to speak to it, and then maybe at that point, we could see what direction we're going with the test kits or where FWC is at,
yeah,
okay?
go, that'd probably be one of they feel to do it anyway.
Maybe, yeah, so let's hear, if you don't mind, let's hear from Sarah first, and then we can,
All right, that'd be fine.
take some direction.
Okay, so you're good with withdrawing your motion until then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I could just,
Yes, go
the
ahead.
board's policy is not to make motions during public comment as well, so I just want to make sure that's reinforced.
Yes, sir. All right, was Ms. Jordan on the line?
Yes, Ms. Jordan's on the line, and after that, you have.
They told me yesterday, I hope it rains where we can go and get to it in the meeting.
Hold on, let me mute Fonda. I don't know how we got her muted, but let me go to Ms. Jordan and ask her to unmute. Ms. Jordan, if you're on the line, star 6. Oh, there you go. Yes, she's unmuted. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you, Mr. Marone, for having me. I'm just going to actually make a brief comment regarding the status of the St. James Lanark Volunteer Fire Department discussions, which I know that several of you are tired of discussing, but I have been working tirelessly, almost full-time, to get to my knowledge and my research and to get some answers as to what's going on because of how severely dysfunctional our fire department is. I want to let you know that I personally, I know that Commissioner Bolt has said that he's spoken to Charlie Frank, who is the coordinator for the Florida Volunteer Fire Department, Volunteer Firefighters Association. But I've actually spoken to the executive director as well, Mr. Robert Amick. And Charlie Frank is not going to sit down and do all the things that Commissioner Bolt has been claiming that he's doing. He pointed out, Charlie Frank told me per phone call this morning that he pointed out to Commissioner Bolt the statutes that the county is the responsible service provider for volunteer fire departments, and they have to get county permission as to how money is spent. You could refer to statutes 125.01, chapter 633, and also 69A 62 with the safety governing rules, and that issues such as the chief not having a driver's license, the firefighter Jerry Homiak, who was a convicted felon whose charges stem from 2013 and was still on the department in 2018, that's an HR issue between the county and the fire department, and it's your issue to solve. And that any contracts that are written must have language designating responsibility, and that there must be a contract for service for monies spelled out in the statutes that I mentioned above, and that these things are all of great concern to residents of this community. And at the next meeting, I anticipate you're going to have a large group of people voicing concerns based on research and documentation and no speculation, but everything is not okay at our fire department. Things are extremely dysfunctional. There is a porta potty outside. There's vehicles being stored behind the building. There is a travel trailer plugged into the building. This is our MSBU monies that are funding these things, and it's misuse of it. And the audit, please look at the audit, because you're going to see things like massages, cotton candy machines, airline tickets, cash withdrawals, Amazon Prime Video. I could go on. But the audit, I understand that there's a lot of confusion as to where that audit is at this time. However, it is important that it not get lost in a pile of dust and then it not get shuffled under someone's desk, because those are the monies of the taxpayers in this district. So I also, in closing, I just want to say that the supposed public meetings are not public because they're only being advertised on a private Facebook page. I contacted the St. James Bay president of the Homeowners Association. She had no idea that there was no running water, that there's a $19,000 water bill, that the fire chief doesn't have a driver's license, etc. I talked to homeowners on 98, and I talked to several of them, as well as real estate agents that have signs in the area of the district. This is not public. If it's public, it needs to be announced publicly so that the community can be aware where and how their tax dollars are being spent. And that is all I have to say this morning, except for to thank you all very much for the time that you took to listen to me.
Thank you, Ms. Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kirschenbaum on the line.
Yes,
Michael?
he is.
He's next.
He's next. Hey, Steve, could you unmute, please? Yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Do you have me?
Yes, sir, we do.
Steve Kirschenbaum, St. George. With the Bay closure for 5 years and us looking at our airport as a new #2 employer and economic engine for the county, with 100% DOT funding, 90% FAA funding, and additional 10% DOT funding because we're in a ready zone, we need to do good things. Over the past 5 years that I've been involved in looking at the airport, we've done a lot of wrong things. If we're looking to make this a #2 employer, We abolished the airport board. We have a master plan that's going on right now with no full-time residents of the county involved. We were trying to close a runway that was in the best shape of the three. We removed approaches and downgraded the runway to utility without commission approval. We advocated incompatible uses in the approaches of the runway. We ignored foliage and overgrowth on the runway. And right now we're looking for a part-time airport manager that potentially can be from 100 miles away. On today's agenda, we're trying to put together a committee, you're trying to put together a committee at the advice of your county coordinator to select the language and the person that is going to serve as airport manager. I urge you not to be cheap about it. You need to spend good money. You need to invest money if you want something good to happen. And I urge you to select locally. It's not something that somebody flies in 100 miles and then flies back. We went through that. And all these things that I just discussed happened with that airport manager who was a no-show, no-do, no-go airport manager. Right now, Michael is advising that himself, Aaron, and John Collins sits on that committee. I think that's bad advice. I think you need Bert Bolt, who is a pilot. I think you could use somebody like Gordon Hunter. You had Bruce Graham, who's an FAA representative. I don't know if that's a conflict of interest, but you need a couple of full-time residents that are aviation people to sit on that committee to make sure we do the right thing. If we get ourselves another 100-mile away guy, a lot of bad decisions are going to be made. And if we want this airport to truly become the next #2 employer of this county, we need to be proactive. Right now, Gulf County is looking to try, they're discussing with the DOT and the FAA, trying to find out about putting a 7,000-foot runway in Gulf County. They have the shipyard up and running in Gulf County. They have housing developments going up in Gulf County because there's no workforce housing. We need to be proactive, maintain our rural quality of life, but bring jobs. And what you're being advised by Michael Marone today with this screening committee, Michael Marone advised you with a majority of the things I just discussed. Please do the right thing and let's move this airport forward, and I want to do anything I can to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was it, wasn't it, Mr. Morone?
Yes, sir. That's all you had today. So, with your permission, sir, I'd like to bring on Sarah from the Health Department, and let's have a discussion about red tide. Fonda might want to jump in here based on what he saw also. So, let's get Sarah in here. And Sarah, if you would unmute, you are good to go. There you go. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. This is Sarah Quaranta, Health Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Franklin and in Gulf. And I also have in my office with me today Zach Hodges. He's our Environmental Health Manager. Just hearing the beginning conversations, Commissioner Jones really hit it spot on. And the messaging, if there is messaging that we send out, it will come from the Health Department in partnership with the FWC. So I was on the phone with the state aquatic toxins consultants this morning. So we're staying in communication with the situation at hand. But from an overall situational awareness standpoint right now, we are aware that adjacent counties have had red tide samples come back high enough to have a red tide health alert issued. And these samples are from FWC sampling, not the health department. So we're staying in close communication with them. The FWC has been watching blooms via satellite between the 27th and the 30th, and it does show high concentrations offshore. And so we think that may be contributing to the problems or the calls coming in. But we are currently awaiting some confirmatory sampling. So from our latest available sampling reports, that were probably provided on their website, it showed Gulf and Franklin still having low levels, but the FWC just conducted another round of sampling yesterday, so those results should come back very soon. So we're aware that the county has been receiving calls from concerned residents or visitors related to fish kills and other respiratory irritations. And once those results are available, we'll go ahead and we'll send out a health alert based on those findings. And basically, the health alert, it really just focuses on simple messages that, some people may have mild or short-lived respiratory symptoms, such as eye, nose, and throat irritation, and it is similar to cold symptoms. And so individuals with breathing problems, such as asthma, might experience more severe symptoms. And usually those symptoms will go away when a person leaves the area or goes indoors. But, we also recommend, obviously, not swimming around dead fish, and I hope people do this without any type of alert necessary, as well as, not harvesting or eating molluscan shellfish during the bloom presence, or distressed or dead fish from the location. And then what was also mentioned about pets, which is also very important, keeping pets and livestock, away from the water or sea foam or any dead sea life. So in short, we're going to be sending out any type of messaging that would come from the health department, in partnership with the FWC. And certainly if any residents or visitors have any concerns or want to call us, we're just a phone call away. So that number is 850-653-2111. So that's just my very high level update right now as we're waiting for those results to come in. I hope that was in some way a little bit helpful.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay.
I think Commissioner Lockley expressed earlier, and I don't know if you were listening earlier, Ms. Quaranta, but the FWC had, in their email correspondence to us, it said something about having test kits available that the county could get. Is that something that can be done in conjunction with the health department, or how does that work? As far as
typically,
we get the test kits, who's going to actually do the testing? That's what I'm trying to
analysis,
yeah.
Typically, this type of testing is conducted through the FWC in a lab, not through the health department.
Okay.
But we'll follow up with them on the specific test kits they were discussing in the email.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just a question. I'm wondering if there's any option in our beach flagging systems that should we see an increase in red tide blooming and so on, is there any option in our beach flagging systems to tell the public warning?
I would say no, and here's the reason why. Our beach flags are representative of what NOAA does with beach flags, the National Weather Service.
Okay.
So when they change them is when ours are changed, because we don't have anybody in this county that's able to make that call. Don't have anybody trained, I guess, to make the call to change the flags. And we really can't arbitrarily change them because all of our technology is tied to what their updates, not our own updates.
Okay. If I may, Mr. Chairman, and since we have Pam on the line, I'd like to unmute and ask her, what about the notification system that goes to everyone's phones?
The notification system you can do, yes.
What do you think about that? Want me to
I think
unmute
that,
Pam?
please, let's do that.
Okay. Hey, Pam, if you would, you're unmuted, go ahead.
Again, we can't put anything out unless it comes officially, so we would need something to either come from the health department or come from FWC, and then yes, we can use our notification system.
Okay, so Sarah has some kind of official release from the health department. You're saying you can attach that and send that out as a notification?
Yes, and we can put it on our kiosk.
Okay.
What we'll typically do is we'll send out the press release to all of our partners, and that does include media. And then we also have signage that's available that we can locate near the public access points along the beach that's specific to red tide, just with some just basic cautionary health language.
That sounds good, and
Pam.
Yeah, we need to make sure that with Ms. Pam and Mr. Fonda Davis that they know that option's available. But yeah, being able to push out the notification through our EOC, I think, is very helpful.
And Mr. Chairman, can Pam use her signage to add to the health department
Oh,
signage?
yes.
The billboard sign, that's what I was asking.
Yes.
Same message.
We should be able to do that, shouldn't we, Ms. Pam, through the kiosk?
Oh, the kiosk
Yes,
too.
sir. That's what I said. We could use kiosk. Whatever official comes, and from Sarah or the FWC, we just post it on there.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone have
And
any
it sounds like, oh, I'm so sorry,
Go ahead,
Commissioner.
go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, it sounds like I have actually one of our sample signs here. Zach just brought it in. It's really nice, easy to read, and it actually has one of those fancy QR codes at the bottom that takes you directly to the FWC's sampling website where you can review the latest results. So that's quite nice for our residents and visitors.
Good, very good. Thank you.
That's cool. So Commissioner Lockley, that's good. We'll find out more about the kits and I'll let the board know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I just need to ask a question. I'm thinking outside the box. But we got a lot of people coming down here fishing, right? And the FWC and all the state of Florida, they not telling us, they not giving us the message we need to send to people. Now, is it safe for them people to come down here, go fishing, catch them fish and eat them? That's what I needed.
I would say no.
I mean, somebody needs to say something.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's gonna drop down on they're gonna set a kind of commission. It's not the kind of commission. It's the state of Florida supposed to do that. And they should do it because they know these people that are coming down. And you got Seafood Festival coming up and everything. And it's not happening not only just in Franklin County. It's happening all over a lot of Florida. So I think they being they need to do a better job and let people know before somebody die eating them contaminated fish.
That's a valid point, Commissioner Lockley, because yeah, I don't think that there would be safety stuff caught out of those waters if there's red tide present.
And yeah, I can read my Attorney Schuler's idea too about the TDC app. Once we have the official notice, John could put that in the TDC app too, because a lot of people are using that and watching that. So yeah.
Yeah. See, all dollars ain't good dollars. I mean, people don't care about that. They want the dollars when they come in here, but you know, a dollar ain't worth nobody losing their life. Go out there and catch a fish and die.
No, sir. I'd rather have our people be safe that visit here than to have them here just to have them here. Ms. Sarah, do you have something to say?
Sure, certainly we can follow up with the state perhaps for some like safety fishing messaging. I mean, I was looking at what the typical red tide press releases that come out, and they do talk on you know, not eating or harvesting molluscan shellfish or distressed or dead fish from this location. And while that message is important, and we would hope that people wouldn't, but it is important for visitors coming in to be aware that of the, you know, safety protocols in place, you know, and then so we'll certainly circle back to the state on some health and safety messages about fishing and harvesting.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Any commissioners have any questions or concerns for Ms. Sarah while she's still here? Thank you so much, Ms. Sarah.
Thank you.
They do it because when we were catching oysters, they bad. They used to tell us don't eat them.
They'd shut it down. Yep.
They would shut it down. They need to do something.
Okay, up next, Ms. Michelle Maxwell, Clerk Reports.
I don't have anything to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Clerk Maxwell. All right, Mr. Howard Neighbors, Superintendent of Roads and Bridges.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Everything, I ain't got no action items this morning. Do got a few complaints on St. George Island about the mailboxes that I think the mail truck having a little bit of trouble, but we're gonna go through the island and fix all them. But I know 3 or 4 people's called in here about the situation, so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that sounds consistent with what I've heard too, Howard. And listen, I know it's not good. A lot of those roads have been in not good shape for a while, but I can tell you about 3 solid months of rain definitely hasn't helped the situation, because the roads will not last underwater at all.
That's correct, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate your help in doing it all. Hey, if we had the material money, we'd pave it all, but we don't. We presently don't have that money. So it just is what it is.
Also, we get a lot of complaints also that, you know, a lot of places on the island, they don't want the road built up too high, because they don't want the water in the yard, they rather for the water to stand in the road, so we work with them, you know, the best we can.
Well, that might sound like a good idea, but when the water stays in the road, you're always gonna have road problems.
Correct, it beats the road down.
Whether it's ditches or whatever it is it's better for my water to be retained on my property, and especially in the business district. I think there's several that are supposed to have stormwater plans, and the stormwater's in the road, and they own their property. So that's creating problems too.
We got all the roads graded on the island last week, and also on West Pine in front of the little restaurant they got built there, we fixed all that. But if you get a lot of rain and it floods again, you're gonna have a lot amount of water standing there, because it's gonna be down again, so.
Thank you, Howard. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Neighbors while he's here?
Mr. Chairman, I do. Good morning, Mr. Neighbors. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I had some concerns considering particularly Timber Island Road there in Carabel, my district. Apparently there's been some boats with trailers parking right there in front of the restaurant, and it's preventing people from being able to park to go into the restaurant. It's also preventing other boaters from being able to turn around to back their boat into the boat ramp. And I was wondering if maybe perhaps, I know we're getting it all repaved and redone, but I was wondering if maybe there's a way we can put some, I don't know if we have some no boat trailer parking signs that we can maybe put out in place over there to prevent the boats with the trailers parking there. I know the I've been out there several times. I know the parking situation out there is not very good, especially for boats and trailers. But I was just wondering if maybe that's something we can maybe look into.
Yes, ma'am, we could try to get some, no boat trailer parking.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you have any questions, you could certainly reach out to me after the meeting. I can elaborate further or what have you.
Okay, we can do it.
Thank you.
We can do it.
Anyone else? Howard, thank you for your time, and thank you for the job you guys are doing. We appreciate it. All right, up next is Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Have no action item for you this morning. Just a good word of Jeremiah 29:11. That's about all I have this morning.
All right, anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Davis?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can we be thinking about our current position on beginning the looking and planning for expanding the waste management capacity of our waste management facility? As we look forward in what I guess would be 12 to 15 more years, we seem to think that our current facility is going to be out of life there. We need to be thinking about expanding. Should we not be talking about that at some point?
I think Mr. Davis has already been having some of those discussions. I don't know, 12 years is very generous, though.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be here that long.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I agree with you. Yeah, Commissioner Bolt. Hurricane Michael cut it by half.
Yeah.
We have less than that.
Yeah.
I would say it's even 7 years might be stretching it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. Yes, and we have been meeting about that, sir, with Mr. Davis.
So could we get a progress report maybe in a couple months about how that's, what our options are for expanding our facility going forward?
Yeah,
May I
I think
make
that's,
that
that's fair.
How about a motion for that effect? I'll do
Directing
that.
is-
You can direct or by motion, it doesn't matter, Commissioner Bolt.
Yeah, either way,
Whatever you want to do.
I'd like officially, because this is such a county-wide issue, I'd like to officially make a motion that we
Okay.
actively begin to research the expansion of our waste management facility, and I'd like to have options reported to us every 60 days.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Bolt, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion?
That's a good thing, because another storm can pop up, and we'll be out.
That's right.
You said a mouthful, Commissioner.
Well, Commissioner Lockley, the issue is, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, it comes, I mean,
That's the issue.
I just hope it don't come here, but you never know.
Yep. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr.
Thank you
Chairman,
very much.
On that
Appreciate
matter,
that.
I'll step out a bit ahead of Fonda, and I'll say, so one of the options is going to require some hard thinking of the board, because it's going to be a big culture change to the way we deal with roadside pickup, amnesty days, and other things. So I'm just forewarning the board, when we do have that discussion, just open mind about where we go from there, and, you know, how we deal with the situation as it relates to funding, to the best options, you know,
And
as efficient as we could be. Yeah.
Permitting as well.
Permitting too, that's another issue for new landfills. So all that the board will need to consider. But
Well, we gotta do what we gotta do.
yeah, so I'm glad Commissioner Bolt actually said that, because, yeah, we'll have something to you hopefully before the end of the year. Have a
Good.
substantial
Thank you very much.
discussion and
Appreciate
update.
Commissioner Ward, did you have something to say before? I thought y'all both started to speak at the
Yeah.
same time.
I wasn't sure.
Okay,
It's kind of along the same lines, but.
okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if Mr. Davis has anything else, Mr. Chairman. I kind of cut him off too, so
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Davis, do you have anything else to add, sir?
No, sir, I do not.
All right. Well, thank you for your good work. Keep it up. Tell everybody we said thank you.
Will do.
Yes, sir. All right, up next, Ms. Pam Burnell, Emergency Management Director.
Commissioners, now I know what's wrong with me. I told Jenny a week ago that what I have felt like red tide. I could be their testing subject. I'm still sick with it. Till red tide goes away, I guess I'll keep this respiratory issue that I've gotten. I do not have any action items for the board today.
Okay. Ms. Pam, I'll say this. I've been dealing with respiratory stuff, but it actually started Wednesday was a week ago. So
I went
it's been a long
back
time.
to the doctor yesterday.
It's been a long time. All right. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Ms. Pam?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
thank you. I know we've already discussed the location of the EOC relative to the airport, and we've already thought about the potential of another location in proximity to the Sheriff's Department right there on 65 with the pending return of 26 acres of land there. I've also remembered how you pointed out to us last meeting of the great amount of storage infrastructure that the EOC right now has at the airport, its facility. And that favored the relocation of the EOC in the airport area, away from runway approaches and departures, etc., because of the infrastructure of storage. On the other side, I'd just like to have commission input on the fact that on Route 65, in that property next to the Sheriff's Department, we have flat land, slab on grade construction potential, right next to the sheriff. The infrastructure of communication and emergency systems are right there together. And I'm just wondering if we ought to reconsider where the location of the EOC should be relative to Route 65 based on those issues, and believing that the EOC can still have an ancillary facility at the airport as well. And it gives us that bilateral approach to emergency situations relative to bridging and everything else that we have in the county. So I'm just wanting a discussion about the real thinking about the need for an EOC being so close to the sheriff and next door to the bridge and road department with the heavy equipment, and looking at that entire infrastructure of emergency care. Could we consider putting the EOC on Route 65?
Our computer went down, so I'm just back up. But Commissioner Bowe, if the county has the money to build a big enough facility, that's the problem. You do not have the money to build a facility big enough for what it would take to house a self-sufficient operating EOC.
In today's economy, self-sufficiency is certainly important, But then the intra-departmental relationship that you have with the sheriff department right there and all of the emergency communication network that's right there, and how we share departments and funding and so on. It just seems like such a neat symbiotic opportunity to put the sheriff and the EOC right there together.
If I may, a couple of things. First, Commissioner Bolt, we don't own that property. We don't have it. We don't have it yet. Actually, they kind of deferred that discussion because they want the chairman and I to appear before them because they have some questions.
You mean at the school board?
That's right. So I want to make sure we're all clear that we
All
do
right.
not own it. We're speaking like
Certainly.
we own it, and we can do that. So that's one hurdle we have to cross. The second one, I hear the question that Pam asked, and it's a valid question
It is.
to address, is money.
Right.
Because what she's saying, if you build it away from where it is, she doesn't have access to the building she has now that she needs during the storm. So we'll have to build a bigger unit for housing and for the different size that she needs on location, on the spot. So I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but a lot of things I'd like to do, I wish we could do, but commissioners, we don't have the money to do. So where do we get this money from? Because what will happen, what I'm afraid will happen, we will end up, commissioners, designing an EOC at one size, and if we move it, it'll be inadequate if we build it up 65 based on the way it was designed. And long story short, we'll never get a new EOC built, and that, I don't like that option at all. So if we're going to build it up 65, if that's what the board wants to do, I mean, a couple of times we discussed this and the board didn't change their minds, but you know, if that's what we want to do, I need a funding source. Or when we ask the legislature for money, we're going to ask them for more, have to ask them for more money than we're planning on now. And if that fails, then what do we do? Because we only have 1.5 million from Congressman Dunn. That's not that it's approved, but it's on his list to be submitted if and when the federal government decides to move forward with these projects. So if that doesn't materialize for whatever reason, they can't get the votes or whatever they're doing up in DC, and the state does not fund us to build an EOC, then where do we go? And so we're stuck with a design, and let me say this, if we need to decide how we're going to design this building, because where it goes, the design matters. It matters what size we build it depending on where it goes. So again, you know, I want to move forward, but every time we discuss this, I pause because I want to make sure we're heading in the right direction here. Where are we building it so I know what size to tell our architect engineer, and then how are we proceeding? That's, I really do need, I should say that because the chairman would turn to me and said, Michael, we need a motion, you need to follow what the motion was. But if we keep, if this discussion keeps happening every meeting, I you know, what?
So the other thing too is, Michael, though, if for some reason the 1.5 million they talked about from the federal government doesn't come through, I don't know what we're designing anyway.
Mr. Chair.
Because we presently don't have no money.
I usually don't inject on these type of matters, but Mike, has the school board been informed the county may want to put an EOC on this property before they transfer it, as opposed to workforce housing? And what impact will that change in use have in your estimation on the negotiations for the transfer?
I think the school board only is aware of workforce housing.
Yes.
That's all they're aware of, because that's what the board said to me. That was the directive I got from this board. So correct. That's all, you know, and they have they have questions about the workforce housing, which are valid questions, don't get me wrong. I don't want you guys to leave here thinking they don't want to cooperate with us, but they have valid workforce questions on how the county is going to approach this, that, you know, that the chairman and I at some point have to go meet with them and discuss it.
And kind of an unfair question to you, but I guess in the nature of this discussion, I have to bring it up. What impact on the school board's willingness to transfer the property are you predicting if you go to them and say, hey, it may not be workforce housing, it may be an EOC facility.
Yeah,
What response are you expecting from that change?
I don't know.
That's yet to be determined.
Sir?
That's yet to be determined,
Yeah.
how they would respond.
Because everybody likes this. I've gotten so many calls about this workforce housing, what a good idea it is, you know, so I don't, and keep in mind, some of what's out there, and I'm digressing, Commissioner Bolt, some of what out there in that 26 acres, some of that is wetlands too.
Yes, sir.
So I don't want you to think, well, we could do both. I really don't, I'm not sure. That's not my cup of tea there. You know, I don't go that far down the road. So, yeah, again, I just need this board to, I mean, I keep hearing the discussion. I know what the motion was. I keep hearing the discussion. I wonder, do I move forward with, because we already started discussions with FAA about the property out there and their willingness to work with us, actually on a trade that they really like. You know, so that's how far down the road we are with the airport location.
I understand that the school board gave the county, the county gave the school board these acres years ago in exchange for building the Carabel Library.
Correct.
And now isn't this just a lateral transfer
correct.
back?
I said that, but I don't know that's 100% correct.
Okay.
They did get it from the county, but I don't know it was about the Carabel Library.
Yeah, I think it was multiple things was involved in that deal and that trade.
Okay. Well, certainly, I just wanted some discussion. There's no motion on the floor that I know of. I'm just looking for discussion. I just think that bilateral opportunity for an EOC in 2 positions is even more favorable for funding of an EOC on Route 65.
Also, keep in mind, you have a EOC staff of 3.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Okay.
Yes, true that too.
All right.
So we'll just let this be a discussion for now then.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. That's
Appreciate
fine.
it.
And I'll proceed, Commissioner Bolt, with what I'm doing.
Okay, please. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for now, but keep it open.
Anyone else have a question or concern while Ms. Pam's still with us? Thank you, Ms. Pam.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Extension Office Director, Mr. Eric Lovestrand.
Morning, Commissioners. I do not have anything for you this morning.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Eric? All right. Mr. Eric, thank you for being here. Thank you for the good job y'all do.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Ms. Whitney Roundtree, Library Director. She with us, Michael?
All right, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, it's time to submit our state aid grant application. So I'm requesting board approval and signatures for our grant agreement so I can get that sent off.
Okay.
And
it's page 9.
Mr. Chairman, and Whitney, if you could just elaborate briefly on what that is, just so the public's aware. What is this?
Oh, it's our grant application with the state. So they allot money every year, funding for libraries. We apply for it every year.
So moved.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you. Other than that, the big news right now is that registration is open for music as a second language. Sign-up's going to be open from October 4th to November 12th. If you don't know what that is, Music as a Second Language is a program designed for the youth of Franklin County, ages 10 to 18, who are interested in learning to play an instrument. Instrument choices for this season include acoustic guitar, piano, and ukulele. The program is sponsored by Rock by the Sea and the Friends of the Franklin County Public Libraries at no cost to students. Prospective students will be notified and will be scheduled to meet for information concerning the expectations and responsibilities of the program. It's a 20-week program and will begin mid-January, and as long as they complete the entire program, they get to keep their instrument. Any other questions for me?
No, ma'am, I don't think so. Thank you, Whitney, for everything you're doing to keep our
Thank you, I
libraries
appreciate it.
productive and for the community. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
A ukulele.
Have a good one.
You too.
I'd like to learn to play ukulele. Okay, Mr. Chairman, if you would, before we go to Ted, can we go to my report? I have Caroline, Evan, and Evan at least that's the screen names, from ARPC here. I'd like to address page 9, item B. Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Okay, they're just doing B or they're doing A also?
I mean, we could do A. I don't think
They don't have nothing to do with
Yeah,
that?
the young lady
Okay.
for the
All right.
GIS map, she's
Go
not
ahead
there.
with B.
Okay. So again, we're on page 9, item B. Appalachia Regional Planning Council is working on 2 related projects, and they believe both projects would benefit the county. The first project would be the restart of the Revolving Loan Funds Program, known as the RLF. Currently, the county has approximately $300,000 in that account and has had no activity for some time. Aaron could be more specific as to when the last time we did something.
Years.
And the auditor's dinging us on that project too. So anyway, I realized that an earlier ARPC administration was involved with the RLF program and it didn't go too well. But as the chairman can testify to this morning, this current ARPC administration RLF program is the complete opposite. It's very successful. They're doing really good things. So with the board's permission, ARPC would like to restart and administer the county's revolving loan fund program. Second project is a proposal to the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, Build Back Better Regional Challenge. Ooh, say that in one breath. Under the American Rescue Plan funding. ARPC has identified several key projects that could help shape and grow a new regional industry cluster centered around the ag technology industry and the Gulf to Gadsden Freight Logistics Zone. If the board approves the restart of the RLF program, what I talked about earlier, ARPC would like to use the RLF program's funds of $300,000 as a match for the EDA application. If ARPC is successful with the application, the county's $300,000 would be increased to over $1 million for that program. If the application is not funded, ARPC will still administer the county's RLF program with the $300,000 we currently have in that account. Chairman Jones, the county's ARPC appointee, will discuss both projects in greater detail, and then I could hit the 3 different motions that I'm asking the board for. And Mr. Chairman, let me know when you'd like me to unmute Caroline and the 2 Evans.
Okay, you can go ahead and unmute them. I will say this to make sure the board knows what we're talking about doing. So the county had an RLF program, basically ARPC, probably a decade or so ago, was having problems with it. So they gave us our money back. It's just sitting on our books. It's something we really need to do something with. So as your representative on the Regional Planning Council pretty much since I've been in office, I'm also on their executive board. I'm the current vice chair of their executive board. So all the RLF projects, everybody that's coming to the ARPC for funding, and these are people that can't get traditional funding, or what they're wanting is not a traditional thing to do, so they can't get funding for it. For instance, we had a guy with a restaurant in the middle of COVID in Weewall that wanted to add an employee and add on to his building to seat 20 more people at his restaurant. So we were able to fund that, and he hasn't missed a payment. So a bank's not going to give you money to hire somebody with. They're just not going to do it. So we would be taking that $300,000, giving it back to ARPC to start our program. They concurrently have the opportunity with this Build Back Better Regional Challenge to leverage that as a 20% match for a grant through that. So if they get approval from EDA, it would turn that $300,000 into $1.5 million. And you know, that would then be something that's part of the RLF program. So that would mean even more opportunities for Franklin County and its residents and its businesses. But it also would mean that it would probably go to other people in the region, because that's a pretty good amount of money. So the third part of that is, and it's a discussion that they're going to have probably with Mr. John Collins and some of the other ones from the airport, is under that Build Back Regional Challenge, they've been asked to put together a regional perspective on things that could be done that would really impact our region. And if they're awarded that, they can put 7 to 8 projects in there. If they're awarded that, it's anywhere from 25 to 100 million. So they're going to be having a discussion based on what we've talked about before about extending the one runway that runs east and west, going into north, and making it thicker and longer so we can, you know, do what we talked about before with the funding in place. So I don't know that it's going to get funded, but they're going to talk with the airport people about how much money that would be so they can add it in, and maybe it'll help them get more points and get it approved. So I just wanted y'all to be aware of some of the things that's going on at the regional planning council level on your behalf.
Hey. Yep, good.
That summarize?
Yeah, pretty much. One thing I will add a couple of things with the RLF. I think, Chairman, you have to be turned down by a bank before you could apply?
You either have to be turned down by a bank or has to be something that will not get traditional lending.
Okay.
For instance, like hiring an employee.
Yes.
Nobody's going to give you money to hire an employee. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
And,
yes, it does.
and the other thing, so the 300,000 will always remain with
Yes.
Franklin County's
Yes.
residents. If we get over that, it'll be more of a regional look,
Yes.
something that benefits indirectly Franklin County,
Yes.
how they would use whatever goes over the 300,000.
Yes, that's correct.
But Franklin County people still could get part of that, whatever that between
Yes.
300,000 and $1.5 million.
There you
So I
go.
just want to be very clear about that too,
Yep,
Commissioner.
yep. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
all that sound good. But we ain't gonna get nothing till we get a workforce. You got to have a workforce. You got to have people know how to do something. I mean, if you bring something in, the first thing they gonna ask you, what your people can do. First thing we can say, huh? Nothing. We got to have some training ready, because they're not going to bring it. If they bring in a company, what they going to have to bring in the people to work. It ain't going to help our people. We got to start looking out for something we going to do or what we looking for, so we can start training people now, and maybe 5 years it'll be ready. Because jobs come in, they not gonna bring no people with, they'll bring a few. And if they bring them, they ain't helping your people. But what is we plan on doing? We got to sit down and talk and say what we plan on doing, if anything. Then you can start training the people to do it. Whether it be nurses, whether it be welders, whether it be whatever. I mean, whether it be them drone people. I mean, they got it going on, but you still, right now, when they finish, they got to leave. But if we set it up and have somebody waiting and say, we'll have you this amount of people ready in such and such a time, then you got something to look forward to. And the people got something to look forward to. But we got to start some way trying to do that.
So,
got to start.
You're right about that, Commissioner Lockley. It's going to be, things have to be concurrent though, because here's the thing. If we, and I respect what you're saying, if we start training people though, and we're not doing anything else to actually give them a job when they get through training, they're going to train and leave too.
Right.
They're not going to stay here. There's nothing here for them to do. So we have to do whatever we're doing, we're going to have to start trying to do concurrently. So, you know what I mean?
My question is, can some of this money, Mr. Chairman, can it be used if they're successful with the grant, and maybe, I don't know if you want me to ask Caroline, used to set up like training programs? You
They
know?
would better be able to answer that, I don't know.
Yeah, Caroline, if you don't mind unmuting, it's, if you could answer that question. There she goes. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So did you hear the question, Caroline? So what Commissioner
Yes.
Lockheed's issue was about having a trained workforce. So can we do both with the money? Can it be for job opportunities? Can it be also for training opportunities?
That's a good question. As far as the revolving loan fund money goes, I don't know, like, for sure answer. I don't manage the revolving loan fund, but my instinct would be to say that businesses use the loans for all sorts of different activities. And so as long as it was an eligible entity seeking the loan, they would be able to maybe set up their own internal workforce training program.
Okay.
But it wouldn't necessarily be something tied to like a college.
Okay.
If that helps. But I could definitely ask our revolving loan fund manager for another answer, especially if there's a precedent in the past when that's been done. On the other hand, though, with a larger application that we're working on that we'd like to include the revolving loan fund project in, we are working on a workforce development project as well. That would be regional. So it's, it's kind of, it's not formed enough to kind of confidently share details, but we are also focusing on that. We see that as speaking well to the revolving loan fund project.
That sounds good. And I think that was, there's a couple of things been discussed here, and I think that's Commissioner Lockley was talking about one side and I'm talking about the other, but I think you hit both of them right on the head. Thank you, Caroline.
Oh, I'm glad, and I am happy to answer any other questions y'all may have concerning the revolving loan fund application.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners? All right.
Okay,
Then
so
proceed.
thank you, Caroline. So basically, I'm asking for three motions. One is to authorize ARPC to restart and administer a revolving loan funds program with the $300,000 we currently have on the books. A separate motion would be to authorize ARPC to use the RLF 300,000 as a match for the Build Back Better Regional Challenge proposal that they have for that grant. And then the third would be a letter of support for them as they apply for the Build Back Better Regional Challenge. So I got three motions, and Mr. Chairman, you could start with the first one, I guess.
All right. Pleasure of the board.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bolt. Authorize ARPC to restart and administer our revolving loan program with the $302,000 currently we have in that account. Correct, Ms. Aaron?
That's correct. It's
All
approximately
right.
302.
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right. Pleasure of the board on the using it as a match to try to get more money from
Definitely so move.
Build Back Better Challenge. All right.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bolt to approve, second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion before we vote?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is any of this money coming back? We taking our money, is this money coming back to him?
Yes.
300,000 for sure is coming back to here. Yes, sir. They're just gonna administer it for us.
And we can try to get more.
Yes.
In addition to that 300,000.
Yes.
Okay, as long as they come back here, I mean.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And honestly, I forgot to mention this, and I know we're in the middle of a motion. Long range, so we get this money, they disperse it among businesses, residents in our communities. Over time, they pay it off. Well, that frees up even more money from the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the way they've got it set up. So it can be 300,000 now, but 5 years from now, it could be $500,000, it could be 750. I mean, you know what I mean?
Without the grant.
Right,
We
without
just
the
talking
grant.
about paying, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And you know what, Mr. Chairman, this second motion, coupled with the first motion, looks like we're getting almost extra leverage through,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
with one single type of money. 300,000 does two things for us.
That's the hope, sir.
Yeah.
And last year, this Leon County, City of Tallahassee, was able to get a grant and give money to ARPC, and they got it doubled in the same way. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
It sounds good, and I'm glad they over it. I'm glad they handling it, cause you can either double your money, and there's a possibility you don't get none of your money back.
Yeah.
Cause if people don't pay the.
That is possible, but I will
Yeah.
say this, Commissioner Lockley, since 2016, since I've been there, we've not had any loan that's been administered with the Regional Planning Council miss a payment.
Oh, that's good.
Not any at all.
That sounds good. I hope it work here.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right, pleasure of the board on signing the letter of support.
So move.
All right, so we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second from Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, that's it. So, thank you, Caroline, Evan, and Evan. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, let's get back to where we were.
Do you want to take a break and then go to Ted, or how you want
Let me see where we're at.
Hey, Ted, I didn't read any action items. You didn't have any action items, did you? All information?
All information, a couple of emphasis.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and do, Mr. Ted, let's go ahead and have your report, and then we'll take a break before we do our public hearings.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ted Mosteller, Airport. I'd like to emphasize and Michael may have something to say about this. I should have paperwork by the end of the week. Michael, do you have anything to say about that?
Actually, they came in, I'm sorry, Ted. We are, well, tell me what we're talking about. The
Number A, obstruction clearance.
Page 5.
Yes. So yesterday, we got, Aaron and I got all three of the agreements assigned. So they'll be presented to the board 2 weeks from today for signature.
That's what I understood.
So we're good to good. We're good to go, Ted, sorry.
Thanks, sir. On the item G, the ring power has the generator control panel intact. They did have a couple items that they had to order, though, to make it complete. So that's in the making. For the most part, it's done. Number H, the wiring for the PAPIs is done. However, the PAPIs have not arrived yet. But other than that, this should happen within the next few days to a week, maybe 2 weeks possibly. And we'll have the walkthrough this week on that lighting project on runway 624.
I see on here too that the mower's ordered, the new mower.
Yes.
Any idea about when that's going to come in, Mr. Ted?
I don't. Ms. Aaron, do you have any information on that, the new mower?
Good luck with that.
Hey, listen.
I understand that the mower that he thought he had with John Deere does not exist, and they've had to back order it. Is that the way you understand it?
Yeah.
And right now, it's like everything else. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Everything else. Trust me. I'm in a supply industry. It's everything else.
Yes. Okay. I do have one particular problem. It's with flood water. It's ponding at the T-hangers, and it's limiting the access to the T-hangers. And I would like to get with the road department and maybe get a backhoe out there to clean out a swale area, but behind the T-hangers so it can drain out.
It'd be nice if we can actually do something about these drainage issues out there.
Well, that's in the mill, however. This is an immediate problem.
Yeah. Well, no, there's several that are immediate problems like that. That water issue has been ongoing for a long time.
Yes, sir. Any questions or discussion that I can answer or add to?
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Ted had mentioned in his report that there are several pieces of equipment that are essentially on standby, that have not been used, almost semi-abandoned, and they seem to have a lot of potential, and you're looking to get the road department mechanics in there, time permitting,
yes, sir,
funding permitting, to try to tune up some of those pieces of equipment for utilization.
I haven't worked these details out yet, but yes.
Can we, is that appropriate? Can we give him authorization to tell us what you need?
I don't know that he needs authorization. The road department can work. I mean, you know, they're our mechanics. So.
Intradepartmentally, okay.
Yeah, so he goes either to Howard or Fonda.
Yeah.
Your mechanics are split between both departments.
Yes.
So you guys get together, okay?
Yeah. Our little backhoe out there is John Deere 110. It fits that category. It's inoperative at the moment.
Right.
Okay, good.
And if we had it operating, we could clean this ditch out or this swale so that alleviate this problem temporarily.
Well, as sure as he has time, there's not much that Rusty Putnell can't fix.
Yeah. Now,
long as you keep them on the ground, don't let them mess with them planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can't, no, if they can't fix it, Ted, then, yeah, just let me know, because then we're gonna have to send it somewhere, bring a
Yes, sir.
mechanic in. You know,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Ted?
Yeah, Mr. Ted, I think it'd be good if you contact the road department and let them know what your problem is, and they can put you down. I mean, they doing a lot of work now.
We've done some communicating already, sir.
Okay. They got a list they can add you to. You might,
Oh, yes.
get on that list.
And Commissioners, Fonda's watching still, so he just sent me a message. He said he'll be glad to help. Ted just contacted.
Yes, okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Ted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back for the public hearings. Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Up next will be our public hearings. Go ahead, Ms. Courtney Bankston.
Thank you, sir. Let's see. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes. Now, can we read your screen? That's a whole different story. Yes, we can see it.
All right.
Joe, read it himself.
Down.
We have it here, don't we?
There we go.
There you go.
So the first one I have is a notice of land use change. It's an ordinance amending for Mary and Mathry.
Yes, sir.
Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Al Byrne and Mary Lynn Mathry.
Mathry. And he's approaching, someone's approaching the podium.
There he is. Hello.
Hi, what can I do for
So
you?
they're going from A2 forestry agriculture to R6 rural residential.
Okay, yeah.
Right, the zoning out there is 40 acres to build a single-family dwelling. That property that I'd like to get rezoned to residential agricultural is 38 and a half acres, basically. And I don't want to cut it up. I just want the property rezoned so I can sell it and somebody can put a home on it. It used to be a nursery 15 years ago.
So, I know we're talking right now about the land use change, but Courtney, I'm not trying to get ahead of us, but what does, so we're, from agricultural to residential, what residential are you discussing?
The R6 goes one dwelling per 10 acres.
Okay. So this would change it from what it is now to being potentially put 3 residences there.
Right, yes. Both of those pieces of property total about, I think it's 62 acres. And again, in order to put a home right now, the way it's owned on that bigger piece, I need to get an exemption for about 1.5 acres.
Where is located?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
May I talk to Courtney?
Yep.
Courtney, scroll back, there you go, stop right there. We're talking about the ordinance hearing for the land use change, but are we talking about a land use change for the acreage in yellow or the acreage in blue?
Blue, sir.
The one in blue. Both of them are under the same name, so it pops up, both of them, whenever you pull it up on there, but it's the blue area.
Okay, so we are not having a public hearing regarding the parcel that is designated with the yellow color.
Correct.
Right. That's where, that was rezoned 2 or 3 years ago. That's where my primary residence is. That's
2019
about
is when that
28
one was
acres.
rezoned.
So Courtney, that map you have right there, yeah, there you go. Can you scroll up and make it a little bit bigger? I think that'll help everybody because they can see the zoning around that property right now.
Courtney, where's this property actually located? Is it outside Carabel?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in Tate's Hill, sir.
Yeah, it takes out.
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. I was asking Ms. Bankston to give us what we're trying to find out.
All right.
Would that answer your question, Commissioner Lockley?
Yeah, okay.
And then, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just informational, this type of zoning being proposed is compatible with what's already there historically, all around.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner, that's why I had the map that Courtney has.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why I wanted you to look versus that one shows you the R6 that are.
I see, okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Schuler, since this is a public hearing, if we have no other further questions from Ms. Courtney, can we take public comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Does any public in the room want to comment about this potential land use change? Sir, I'm not saying you can't comment, I'm sorry, I would just, we need to open up to the public to comment before we do it. What about online, Michael?
Anyone online would like to comment on this? You all have smart devices. Please hit the raise hand feature. Again, if you'd like to comment on this, please raise hand feature. No, sir.
Okay. So seeing there's no public comment, Attorney Schuler, we're procedurally in a place for the board to take action on this item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, Courtney, did P&Z, the Planning and Zoning Department, take a look at this?
Yes,
And,
it was approved for public hearing.
okay, approved for public hearing, okay. So move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve this land use change by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous decision. Go ahead, Ms. Bankston.
Okay, and then for the same piece of property, it's just the zoning change.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record,
Hold on.
Courtney, would you specify the existing zoning classification and the
Yes.
requested change in that zoning classification specifically?
Okay, so they're going from A2 Forestry Agriculture District to R6 Rural Residential District.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, before you do, we need to take public comments,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
If there's no other, and, sorry, would y'all please rescind your motions from before?
Yes, I'll rescind my
Okay,
motion.
so we
Yes.
do need to have public comments before we proceed, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
And Courtney, one more time, would you scroll up and open up, increase the size of the map so everyone can see? No, yeah. So.
Better?
Yes,
Yep.
thank you. Everyone, I want to make sure everyone sees the R6 that's around there already.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, at this time, is there any public comment in the room? Anyone wants to comment about this publicly? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Morone, ask online, please.
Same,
on Zoom.
everyone online, anyone who wants to comment on the rezoning of the same property, please raise your hand on your smart device. Again, if you'd like to address the board on this item, raise your hand. No hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so now it's the pleasure of the board.
So move.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, that concludes our public hearing. Thank you for your time, sir.
They're approved, sir. I recommend if you want to, you could go around to Courtney and ask her the next steps, where to go from here. Okay, go around, she's in the office next door.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Courtney, they're on the way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
ma'am.
Courtney. All right, up next, Ms. Erin Griffin, Fiscal Manager and Grants Coordinator.
Okay, the first item, Franklin County has been offered a $250,000 grant from the State Fire Marshal's Office to assist with the installation of a fire suppression system at Fort Coombs Armory. Just recently, the Fire Marshal's Office informed the county that no more than 50 occupants, even with a fire spotter, could be inside the armory at any one time until there was an operational fire suppression system on site. To be able to accept the grant award, the county must designate and obligate enough funds to complete the project. The county has approximately $86,277 in insurance proceeds available to go towards the cost of this project, but this still leaves an unfunded project match of $124,996 for the installation. The funding of improvements to Fort Coombs Armory in its capacity as a designated convention center would fit within the allowable use of tourist development sales tax proceeds per Florida statutes. Does the BOCC wish to request that the match funds be paid by the TDC for this project? The Tourist Development Council is already in the process of transitioning into managing the bookings, maintaining the location calendar, and handling the promotion of the county location. As a destination venue, the historic Fort Coombs Armory fosters tourism and travel to the county. Board action to request the project match be paid from TDC funds and authorization for the chairman to sign and return Attachment 1 with approved local funding to the Fire Marshal's Office to be able to proceed with drafting the formal grant agreement.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any Any discussion?
Yeah, they getting all the people in, let them finish on that month.
Yeah. That's a good deal for us.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Go ahead, Ms. Aaron.
Okay, the next item, Franklin County has received a supplemental grant award in the amount of $163,628 from the Florida Department of Transportation to fund the project cost overage from the bid opening for the LAP CR 370 Alligator Drive Multi-Use Path Project. The path will begin west of George Voss Road and continue for approximately 1 mile to Gulf Shore Boulevard. The total grant-funded cost of the project will now be $533,401. Board action to approve the attached supplemental agreement and authorization for the chairman to sign the agreement.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, the third item, the grant application window for the 22-23 Florida Department of Environmental Protection's FERDAP program closes on October 15th. And at the last meeting, the BOCC voted to pursue funding applications for the playground improvements at Lighthouse Park on St. George Island and ball field improvements at Vrooman Park and East Point. The FERDAP program is a competitive award program for enhancements to parks and recreation facilities. 2 meetings have been scheduled at this time to ask for public input on future park improvements. Playground improvements at Lighthouse Park will be Monday, October 11th, 5:15 p.m. at the St. George Island Volunteer Fire Department. Ball field improvements at Vrooman Park will be Monday, October 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the Courthouse Annex County Commission Meeting Room here in Apalachicola. The FERDAP grant application also awards points for the inclusion of subject projects into the county's capital improvement plan. The Vrooman Park improvements are already scheduled on the plan. The St. George Island playground improvements need to be added. Board action to approve the attached resolution amending the Franklin County capital improvement schedule of the comprehensive plan to add the proposed improvements to the SGI playground at Lighthouse Park.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley. Is there any discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item 4 is, let's see, each year the county formally updates the capital improvement schedule of the comprehensive plan to reflect upcoming goals and projects within the county. This list assists with the planning process and grant funding applications. Board action to approve the scheduling and advertisement of a public hearing to update the capital improvement plan. And we try to do that each year before December 31st.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley. Second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 5-0. Yes, sir.
And we just got that, we asked for the money for the sprinkler system. What about the rest of that?
Oh, like I
Paint,
said, at the
all
last
that's
meeting,
included?
yes, no, this is, we do the sprinkler system, the painting, the floors, and then the windows. I think that's the order we talked to the architect about. So, but yes, no, this is just for the sprinkler system that we're talking about here.
Okay. They'll have it ready by the first of the year?
Well, the sprinkler and the painting, the floors, no, and the windows definitely no. God knows how long it'll take us to get windows, I swear. That's like what Commissioner Bolt was talking about this morning, how long it takes us to get, to get things like that. Supply and demand issues that we're having. But they're thinking they could get the sprinkler system in. The only hiccup might be historical Tallahassee office. They might be the only one that slows us down, telling us where to put the sprinkler system, if you could display the pipes, the headers, that might be the only issue. But everything else, yeah, they can get it done, sir, to answer your question.
So now, when they do all that, is we gonna open them up and
Yes.
have to close back down when
No.
they do the flow?
I'm thinking the floor is not a big deal, so what we could do is plan to do the floor when there's a weekend, that there are no rentals. You see, I don't think the floor is will take as long as the sprinkler and the painting.
No, because the floors have already been blocked up and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. They're just talking about redoing the finish on the floors, correct?
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
that
thinking,
shouldn't be
refinishing the floor,
a
yeah.
big project.
So I'm saying if there's a whole 2 weeks and a weekend in the middle where there's no activity, yeah, that's a good deal. I think we'll get that done, sir.
Good.
We and those might not be as easy.
All right. Anyone have anything for Ms. Griffith before we proceed? Thank you, Aaron, for your good work. All right, Mr. Morone, you're up.
All right, Commissioners, so page 9, item A, at your September 7th meeting, the board authorized staff to negotiate with the Appalachian Regional Planning Council to update the county's GIS map. This is important as the building department is moving to a new permitting software that will incorporate the GIS map into the software, therefore providing map locations to the public and staff alike. This agreement, which I attach, is the same as the 2019 agreement when ARPC did the last update to the GIS map. So basically, so when your contractors, homeowners, whomever, even your staff are issuing building permits and they they put in their address, the GIS map will show up as part of that on their screen, showing them exactly where it is and where they are. It'll be good for the inspector when he's doing inspections. He taps an inspection, it directs him exactly like a, navigation system in your car.
So moved.
All right. I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
We did B. Let's skip to the bottom of the page C. And before I start, I did get Mrs. Courtney Bankston's permission to say that she is going on maternity leave. Okay, so now that I put that out there in the universe, let's move on. As the board is aware, your zoning administrator, Ms. Courtney Bankston, will be starting maternity leave in a few weeks and is expected to be out for at least a couple of months. I've asked Mr. Alan Pierce to fill the role as the county zoning administrator while Ms. Bankston is on leave. Mr. Pierce agreed, with some twisting of some arms, to take on these additional duties temporarily, but it would require him to become a part-time county employee as the interim zoning administrator. Mr. Pierce and I agreed to an hourly rate of $50 per hour for up to 20 hours per week as needed, Commissioners, as he will continue to assist the county with the special projects such as rebuilding of Alligator Drive, the purchase of the Alligator Point Fire Department property, and the East Point and 2 Mile dredging projects, along with the zoning administrator responsibilities. Once Ms. Bankston returns to full-time status, Mr. Pierce can return to his current role as the consultant. So I want to make sure everybody understands he's not getting $50 an hour just for the zoning administrator. It's all what he does for the board at the moment. He'll just be adding those duties to it. And hopefully it won't be more than 2 months.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
So we're bundling a whole bunch of other duties within this $50 per hour?
Yes, sir.
That's good.
All his consulting duties are going to move over as a temporary part-time on-call employee. He wanted to make sure I say that to you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I bet he did.
On call.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, it's actually not much more in addition to him being this added headache, in my opinion, to have in addition to all his other duties.
Yeah.
So.
Commissioner Ward, I tricked him. You just let it out the bag. But thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously.
All right, so we move on to page 10, D. At your last meeting, I asked the board to authorize Ms. Tracy Busby to assist with completing the county's legislative funding request, which is due on November 1st. Ms. Busby agreement is attached to my report for your review and the chairman's signature. Currently, the only request under consideration is $2 to $2.5 million for the construction of a new emergency operations center. And I put that about, again, I'll repeat like what I said earlier today, because I'm not sure if we're going to get that money from Congressman Dunn, Commissioners, because of how things are working out with that other project up in DC. Let's call it that. So that's why I put 2 to 2.5. If you guys want to ask for more, let me know. I'm not sure if we should go too high on that deal, but we'll see. I will say to you, in addition to this, based on a message I got from your CEO at Weems yesterday, Senator Osley was in town, and she met with David at Weems, and they talked about the legislature helping with the new building. So I haven't been able to talk to David yet. I plan to today about that. I'm not sure if that's going to be a separate request in the manner in which they helped Calhoun Liberty. I think they rebuilt theirs, if I'm not mistaken. their hospital, or if they want us to do it as a legislative funding request. I'll find out today, and I'll add that and let you know at the next meeting, Commissioners.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Do you have something you want to say? I thought you were trying to get my attention.
So I'm sorry, board action to authorize the chairman to sign Ms. Busby's agreement to assist the county with all of legislative funding requests, applications.
So move.
Okay, have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish and Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Move on to item E, Twin Lake Road repairs. The drainage pipe on Twin Lake Road needs replacement. This repair, which is a $15,900 change order to the paving contract, will include excavation and removal of the damaged pipe, replacement of the concrete collars, and a new base and asphalt patch. If not repaired now, I'm being told that this road will be in a similar situation as Ryan Drive and North Bay Shore. So I just need board action to approve that change order. And after that, if Commissioner Ward would give an update as to where we are with Ryan Drive, that would be helpful also.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion?
Yeah, new boop on, they need, no?
Oh, the other two are approved, just this will be the third one, yes, sir.
Yep. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And Mr. Chairman, just to reiterate what Mr. Morone was discussing, I did get an email actually yesterday evening that in terms of Ryan Drive, they are actually doing the head walls right now. They're in the production process. They're actually approximately 6 weeks out from production, so that's gonna take a little while. The pipe, however, is in the yard and ready for shipment. Once the head walls are cast, then Roberts & Roberts will be planning to mobilize and installing and repairing Ryan Drive completely. So
Hey,
hopefully
everything's
very
on
soon.
back order.
Yes, very difficult to get
Everything.
items.
And Commissioner Bolt, we need to stick with, I've tried to reach out to Andy to talk about this other couple of roads you wanted to add also.
Yeah.
So we need to do that before the next meeting if
Okay,
possible.
all right.
Okay?
All right, I'll do that.
All right, go ahead to your next item, sir.
Item F, currently District 1 seat on the county's housing board is vacant. Mr. Cliff Butler has expressed an interest in serving on the board to Chairman Jones, and Chairman Jones supports this appointment. Ms. Lori Mills, your ship administrator, also supports Mr. Butler's appointment to the housing board. Board action to appoint Mr. Butler to the vacant District 1 seat on the county's housing board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner, get this right, Commissioner Lockley, Commissioner Bolt, and Commissioner Ward, and we also have a second by Commissioner Ward.
You can withdraw my third.
At least I
motion,
called them all.
And I'll do the second.
I was just seeing if I could actually catch them all.
Yeah.
Any more discussion before we vote?
Just shows how popular he is. He's a good man for this.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
All right, Commissioner, we're down to G. As part of their approved fiscal year 2021-22 budget, the building department is hiring a temporary part-time employee. There is an immediate need for this part-time employee due to high volume of port permit applications, you guys will believe, and current staff shortages. I'll just leave that there. Got in trouble last time. This employee will serve as a floater and will assist with the current high volume of permit applications, preparation work as we transition to the new permitting software, and prepare older permits filed for electronic conversion. Let me stop there and explain to you guys. All the cabinets that you see inside the room when you come in there next door, we're going to convert all of that to electronic file that meets Florida state requirements. So they will be the official records. And so we'll be able to have a database where we can find permits, drawings, anything that we need just by a click of a mouse, rather than having to go through all those files. That's a tedious task too, but we're working on it because it needs to be done, commissioners. All right. Where was I? Mr. Patterson was able to recruit a recent past employee who is familiar with the building department procedures, the permitting system, and some zoning rules. I'm recommending that we hire this employee on a temporary basis at their previous hourly rate for up to 29 hours per week without any benefits or any retirement. This is not a lot, there's no advertising requirements because it's temporary and it'll only be for a few months for us to catch up. there are sufficient funds in the building department's budget to cover this position. I just need your board action to hire this temporary part-time employee at their previous rate of pay for up to 29 hours per week without any benefits or retirement. And I'm being vague purposely because that employee is working somewhere else now. And I don't want to say their name at a public meeting.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? I do have a question, Michael.
Yes, sir?
I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in this, but is it usual for us to already have somebody tapped to be hired?
No, and it was, once we figured out we needed somebody because of what happened, Steve sat in my office and we just started talking about it as to where we would go. And this opportunity presented itself to bring someone that would need zero training and knows everything we do already for a few weeks or few months. If it was where Commissioner, it was a permanent part-time or full-time, then we would run an ad.
Okay, I just wanted to ask.
Yes, sir?
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, item H. I volunteered Ms. Shannon Bothwell, working on the potential incorporation of St. George Island Committee. I don't know the official name of the committee, so I just called it that, as asked to be in a future meeting agenda. In an email, Ms. Bothwell explained that before the local state delegation would consider sponsoring a bill to incorporate St. George Island in the Florida legislature, Representative Schoaf is requiring that a non-binding straw poll of SGI voters demonstrate support for the incorporation. The straw poll is held. Kind of mess up that sentence. Ms. Heather Riley, your supervisor of elections, confirmed with Ms. Bothwell that there is no cost to add the referendum question to the ballot for a regularly scheduled election. However, board approval is required to add the question to the ballot. Unless a special election is called for some reason, the next election will be the August primaries. Ms. Bothwell would like to discuss this further at a future BOCC meeting. So I'm not asking the board to approve it today. I'm asking the board to add them to a future agenda to discuss this with the board. And I don't know if anybody wants to meet with Ms. Bothwell independently before you do that. She asked, and so I'm asking the board.
Michael, I'm fine with it being added to the agenda, but I will say this. As the representative of that district, we just went through a budgetary process, and the last day, there weren't many people, but the last day we're going through those budget hearings, almost everyone that was here that complained that we weren't going back to the rollback rate were St. George Island residents. Our rollback rate that we missed it by was $167,000. So they have a really big hill to climb to think that I'm going to vote for at least a 3 mil tax levy on residents of the island. I want to say that publicly. Yeah, I know I've met with them, and I know I've I've not taken a stance. Therefore, that might be misconstrued as the fact that I support it, because I haven't been against it. But I will not, listen, I might not always be a commissioner, but I will not support that kind of tax levy increase on residents of St. George Island. I just will not.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add that I also met with individuals, and I agree. I mean, I think that if the St. George Island people that are registered to vote want it and they voted in, so be it. If not, I have a lot of people that have reached out to me that are registered voters that said they're not for it. So I think we need to let the people have a voice and let their voice be heard in terms of what they would like. If they want that extra taxation or not, it is an extra tax that they're going to have to be hit with, the 3 mills, in addition to the county's 5 mills. So they have to take that into consideration. So that's all I got to say on that one.
And Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Do you think that this proposed straw vote has enough teeth in it to matter that it's the will of the people or not?
No. No straw vote ever does have any teeth to it. That's the idea of a straw vote. But I think that was the recommendation from Representative Schoaf, because, so there's 2 ways that anybody in this county, if they want to form a city, can do it. has to be a vote of this board, a supermajority vote of this board, or for the legislature to take it on. And the legislature is not wanting to take it on or be supported by their local legislator without that straw vote.
Sure.
So, you know, I think it's a waste of time, but, you know, because then it has to be supported by the entire Florida state legislature. So.
It just seems like if they really wanted to hear the will of the people, it ought to be a certified vote rather than an informal straw vote.
We do have those all the time. We actually had one, the last time they had one for this district was in August of last year. When they represented their representative, which I currently am.
Okay.
You know, let them do what they want to do. They'll build the 10 mil right quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. Let them do it.
So,
They thought,
I'm sorry.
we hear it all the time. They always hollering, we ain't doing nothing, let them do something. Let them get in the action and do better. That's the way I see it.
Commissioner Lockley, again, I'm fine with this being on the agenda, and I don't want to get too deep into it. The issue I have, the primary issue, there are residents that live on St. George Island that are, I guess we're all on a fixed income. Don't mean it that way, but that's what they intended to do, to retire and to have that kind of home. If something like this incorporation takes place within a decade to a decade and a half, the entirety of the island will be the plantation. Only the people that really can afford to be there will still be there. That's the problem I have.
Hey, well, you get some of them who pushing it, they gonna have to move too.
So I guess the overwhelming direction of getting here is to put them on a future agenda, and then I guess these questions will come up and you could discuss, especially yours, Commissioner Bolt, about a straw poll versus a true certified election. So, okay, I'll work it out with Ms. Bothwell, and I'll let you know when she's on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, if the board would authorize me to give you a legal opinion on Commissioner Bolt's question about the difference between a straw poll and a certified election, I would like some board direction, because the original email came to me, and my response to them was above my pay grade without board direction. So if y'all would, by motion and vote, direct me to look into that issue on the straw poll, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
That'd be great.
I'll make that motion.
All right, so we have a motion to allow that from Commissioner Ward and a second from Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
All right, Commissioner. All I have is my information items. I'll go to I. So I guess I'll have more authority than I realize I do, because the committee, to create the ad for the airport manager has to come to the board for approval and review. So being on the committee I don't have any special authority in any way. That's going to be presented to this board. And like you did with the last one, you could change it, make it, you do whatever you want, you give it back to me. And I would be glad to work with Bruce. Yes, any input we get is good. It's not a bad thing. So, you know, again, I didn't realize I had that much power, Mr. Chairman. I didn't realize I had more power than you did. So, but that's what's going to happen unless, you know, and I didn't put it as an action item. It's simply an information item to let you know we're the ones that are going to be looking at it. We'll present sometime in the future, and you guys let us know what you want to do with the ad, and we go from there.
I don't think there's no problem with that, Mr. Marone. I think the issue would be, and although we value citizens' input, I don't think anybody on this board needs to be a part of that review committee. Because then we're going to vote to approve whoever does their bidding and all that. So you can't do stuff like that. I know it might sound good on the surface, but it is bad government. So that's not going to happen.
Mr. Chairman, the board has addressed that exact issue a few times since I've been your attorney. And the answer has always been, you can't have a commissioner sitting on any committee, a airport committee, a P&Z committee, a Board of Adjustment committee, making a recommendation, which they then will come back to this board and vote to approve their own recommendation.
Yeah.
As you said, bad government, but it's also not legally proper.
Yeah.
So it's been addressed before, and if that's the issue on the table now, my recommendation is not to allow any commissioner on any committee that's making recommendations that this board is going to be making decisions on.
Yeah. And remember, commissioners, we're trying to clean up the situation from last meeting where, exactly where Ted was on the committee and did the ad and then he applied. So in order to keep Ted to be able to apply, we need to have another committee to meet to discuss all this. So this is more so for Ted's benefit than anybody else, to be honest with you.
That's right.
So, okay. The next one is Jay. So, your EMS, you saw that email. Your EMS was awarded the EMS Provider of the Year by the Florida Department of Health. I sent you all that email. The annual award recognizes the EMS provider that has assumed a leadership role in the Florida EMS system and community, demonstrated outstanding initiative in public education and or training, and has demonstrated excellence in the area of quality assurance improvement and medical control protocol development implementation. I think Louis did an excellent job.
Yeah, we ought to honor him coming here to one of our introductory meetings with his staff.
Good idea.
And bring 4 or 5 ambulances with you.
Well, I don't know about that.
We don't have that many.
Probably not.
And we don't have enough parking spaces right now for
That's
that.
true, too.
But yeah, Commissioner, I'll see if I can get him on as an
That'd be
award
great.
presentation to the next one. Maybe we can do up a nice little.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that picture of him with
Louis
our
is climbing
ambulance
in
in
the
the
row.
background that you sent us
Yeah.
looked really good. We ought to really display that here.
Yeah, see, what we need Louis to do is the same one that John did when he won. One of those,
There you
that's what
go.
we needed.
Have his staff here too.
So I can get you guys out of here before lunch, and the last thing is.
You know the difference, right?
Between.
Louis already knew going down there, he had definitely won the award.
Yeah.
TDC, we didn't have no idea if we're gonna be first, second, or third. so
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, just explaining the emotion.
Yeah. Still a good shot though, John. And of course, FWC meeting, I don't think any of you guys are going down there, but it's tomorrow and Thursday down in over in St. Augustine, Florida. It begins at 8:30 each day and it's open to the public. I think this might be one of their first times meeting in person,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And Commissioners, that ends my report. Wow, 10 after 11, not bad for this morning.
Anyone have anything for Mr. Morone at this point? All right. Attorney Schulter, you're up next.
All
County
right,
Attorney
so,
report.
2 action items for the board. One is the Florida Attorney General had sent an email to me asking for Franklin County to consider entering into essentially a memorandum of agreement with the state for the expenditure of settlement funds from the opioid litigation that the Florida Attorney General and other municipalities and counties had engaged in. I've looked online. It looks like there's probably about $436,000 in play for Franklin County. However, I did not want to have those communications with the Attorney General without bringing this matter to the board first and receiving your permission to have those negotiations and bring back to you some future resolution and memorandum of agreement for your consideration. I suspect there's not going to be a whole lot of negotiation because it's going to be a statewide agreement, but it needs to be looked at and reviewed and see what kind of pitfalls there are and how it would be implemented, practically speaking, in Franklin County. But again, I'm requesting your authorization to have that discussion with the Attorney General's office.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Should we blend in the sheriff in this conversation in some way, as passionate as he is about the issue, or is that
Commissioner,
appropriate?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That actually was my initial thought, but when I drafted this report to the board, but since Friday, I've had an opportunity to dig a little deeper, and based on my initial review, Franklin County is not what the agreement considers a qualified county because we don't have 300,000 people and we don't have a lot of other conditions that are in the agreement. And as a non-qualified county, we would be required to participate in a regional group, which would be administered by contractors selected by essentially the state of Florida. So I had the thought, but I don't think it's practically going to work.
Okay.
So. Haven't finished looking at it, but that's my initial conclusion, that we'll be stuck in whatever procedural process that the Department of Health creates and whoever their contractors are. Not saying the sheriff couldn't be a selected contractor, because there will be multiple contractors selected by the state, but we don't have any control over that from a local standpoint. So at this point, I'm just asking for permission to have those negotiations and return back to the board with more details for you to consider in making a final decision.
Okay, any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 5-0 vote.
And Commissioners, the second action item is in September, the board authorized me to conduct a public hearing to consider a potential resolution to the conflict that has arisen between the Carabel Beach being subject to the flagging system, which is tied to the NOAA weather conditions for the Gulf beaches on St. George Island and Alligator Point. As this board knows, Carabel Beach is a protected bay. It is not fronting on the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. My recommendation is that Carabel be removed from the tethering to the beach flagging system as it exists today. But before I've scheduled the public hearing that had been previously authorized, I wanted to just bring that to your attention, see if the board had any further direction or guidance for me. But I think this is the appropriate way to untether Carabel Beach, because frankly, they're being closed down in circumstances when there really is not the same public safety hazard that's being experienced by the Gulf weather conditions on St. George Island and Alligator Point.
Yeah, I'm good with scheduling that public hearing and having this discussion, because at the end of the day, that puts us in a situation where we are in essence saying we're putting this flag or that flag in Carabel when we don't have anybody in our county qualified to make that call.
And as mentioned in my report, I also want to put out publicly, there is another current county ordinance on the books that during declared states of emergency, everyone can be ordered out of the waters of Franklin County and St. George Sound. So it's not as if there would not be a system in place to protect the public at Carabel Beach, but it would be done during circumstances where it's appropriate based on the weather conditions, as opposed to the current system we have now. Because you essentially have a protected bay that's being subjected to Gulf weather conditions, and it's comparing apples and oranges in my book.
Okay.
All right, I'm not asking for any decision from the board. You've already authorized a public hearing. I just wanted to mention where I was heading with it, so I could gauge the board's feelings, and it looks like everyone's ready for a public hearing. I will have it scheduled, and we will put the board in a position to make a decision.
Okay, sounds good.
And that's the only action item I have on my report.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Attorney Schuler at this point in the meeting? All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Any commissioner comments today? I will say this before we adjourn. I know earlier in the meeting we were talking about the stuff with the red tide. I consider that one of our issues, and I don't know how we do it because we're small enough, we don't need anybody full time. I think part of our issue, Mr. Marone, is that we don't have a public information officer. We don't have somebody, even if we did have the appropriate stuff in FWC yesterday, how are we going to make sure the public is aware of that? Who's going to release that statement? I mean, it doesn't need to fall on you. You're a county coordinator. You're doing stuff with our agenda. You're having meetings on our behalf, sometimes with us, all these things going on. But the public still needs to be made aware and informed. And I don't know that, Pam's office can do it, but we need to work out some system where when we are procedurally in a place to release information, that we can do that. You know what I mean?
And if the board, my recommendation, rather than an employee getting it, I would ask you to let me look at a firm, look at some firms first that offer that type of service. I would rather a consultant or a contractor doing that than paying an employee with benefits, because it's kind of a as-needed basis, to be very honest, commissioners. So if you will, give me some direction, I'll start looking around, some people that do that, especially for smaller counties. I will check with FAC
Yeah.
and see what they think, or what some of the other small counties do, you know, and I could bring back some recommendations to the board, if that
Yeah. I
pleases the board.
I just think that we really need to look at it. You know, are we able to do it? I don't know, because I don't know what the recommendation's gonna be.
Yeah.
But we do need to have some way to address and make sure, listen, we're not a big county, but we're really wide.
Yeah.
We're almost 70 miles from one side to the other. Might only be 2 miles deep, but we're wide. So there has to be a better way for us to communicate than what
Yes.
we're doing. Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Really, that's dealing with a state issue. But what happened in that water out there, the water belongs to the state.
Yeah.
It don't, it just passed through Franklin County.
Right.
So I don't know how you gonna do that. But we got to pick it back on the state on,
Yeah.
I would think.
But I believe that the chairman is talking about not just the red tide, he's using, he means for a lot of the things that go on, emergencies and
Communicate.
different things. We need somebody
Oh, yeah,
basically
yeah.
telling us, telling our story to the public. This is what's going on, this is what the county has done, this is what we recommend that as a public you do, you know? I mean, the sheriff does it, but he does it for the sheriff's department, you see, as it applies to him. Pam does it during storms to pass that information. But outside of that, you know, we don't. I mean, I do not have the time, commissioners, to maintain a Facebook page, any social media type of page, because there is record retention that goes along with that. That is a nightmare, and I just don't have the time to maintain it. I'm not even gonna pretend like I do. You
Well,
know?
I'm talking more about media,
Yeah,
press releases, that kind of
somebody
stuff.
going speaking to the
Than I am
to
necessarily
the
Facebook.
TV station, you know. Yeah, but it goes hand in hand.
Yes, it does.
So that's
It
why
does.
I'm talking about. I would prefer commissions like a firm that does that, as you know. But I will go through FAC and see what they recommend out there, and then come back to the board and let you know.
We keep the news updated portion of our county website.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Make a true headline and news type of deal.
There's
Yes.
a few people here in the county might that
Say
love
again?
to run their mouth, and if they know about it, everybody knows about it.
I know.
So that might be something you want to consider.
Yeah.
Like I heard a pastor say one time, telephone, television, tell a woman. That was her saying, not mine.
Commissioner, we're still recording. Mr. Chairman.
She used to say it all the time.
But you got to go home to your wife.
Hey, you got to get the message out there.
I was going to reiterate too, you know, the website. I think that's a good tool. Everything's social media nowadays, and I understand that Facebook, you have to be careful with the social media platforms in terms of public records and public records laws. But, you know, the website, I know you don't have time to update the website often either, but as Chairman Jones was saying, I think that having a PIO will help facilitate all that to
Yes.
keep our community informed.
And everyday things, Commissioner, there are things that happen in these board, only now because we're live streaming, I would say with Royce, and we're using Zoom. Commissioner, you said this to me a long time ago, only now people are really getting the truth of what the board actually does in these meetings, because prior to that, what people post on social media that you guys did that day, and I was like, well, which meeting was I at? Because that didn't happen, you know, not the way they said it on social media. So now people can go back and look and see what the board really did, you know, and what really was discussed. And so that helps. But yes, we do need someone to tell our story.
But most of that stuff, if it's on the state watch, we gotta get permission from them.
Yes, like Pam said, she couldn't use Commissioner Lockley, she couldn't put out the red tide statement today until Department of Health issues statement. Yes, sir, you're absolutely correct.
All right, any other commissioner comments?
It's all messed up. I'm through. I'm ready to eat
All
my
right,
pasta.
I think we about wrapped it up for today. Meeting adjourned.